So I'm getting this training. I'm so excited. Amber encouraged me because I was bitching and moaning, like, I don't have enough time to write. She's like, sign up for a writing class.
Little bitch.
Fucker. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was thinking about little bitch because Amber likes to call me bitch in the room sometimes.
Oh, my gosh.
She's
Just
like,
talk about your writing, man.
Bitch. Be my bitch. I like that. I was like, oh, yeah, that's like I'm not daddy or God forbid, like master, like, which are some things that people say to their
Get back to the writing.
Yes.
Fly, fly, oh to be a fly. Fly, fly, come and be a fly on the wall.
Hello there. Our house is a hot mess. So come on in. Welcome to Fly on the Wilde podcast. This is the show about relationships, about parenting, and recording it all for the world to see. I'm your neighborhood-friendly black girl, Amber.
And I'm Ben, and for a moment I thought my fly was undone, so I just glanced down, and there is a button missing. So
there's a button missing?
Yeah. So it's not not a fly. It's not a zipper. But I was going so quick. We were trying to get out of the house that I missed one of the buttons. I love the buttons on jeans instead of the zip.
So Ben puts the fly in Fly on the Wilde.
I do, or put the button on the fly. Oh yeah, I don't know. I guess is a fly still a fly if it's not a zip? Because there's button flies and then there's zip flies, right?
I think it's still a fly.
Yeah. So yeah, I did put fly on the wall in.
Speaking of other riveting things going on at Fly on the Wilde podcast, we have our live show in Los Angeles, California on February 21st. Have you bought your tickets yet? Do you enjoy giving me anxiety is the question of the day. If you know you're coming, just buy your ticket now.
Buy it.
So that I won't have a panic attack and so that Ben won't have to help me with that Thursday night cry. Right, baby?
Yeah. Oh, man. If we don't sell well, Amber's going to associate her ability to sell tickets with her self-worth.
Of course.
Because of deep levels of insecurities and always being a person who needs clear goals and clear measurements.
It must be nice not to live your life like that. It must be nice just to wake up, no goals, no aspirations, I guess, no stress.
That's an interesting point where this idea of you need to have a measurable goal to feel valuable, which is a very business kind of thing, where I feel value just for being alive.
Yeah, we know.
My value comes in just my presence. And I think that's a healthy way of living, less stressful. But I also don't have the urgency to create in the same way. Recently, though, we'll get into this, but I've been setting more goals because I've been forced to I've been forced to.
Who's been forced to set goals?
Both a teacher, an educator, a professor.
That you saw out. Okay. Well, there's a couple of things here. And then we'll get into the show. This is the show. Me and Ben getting into each other is the show. I am personally attracted to people who are constantly looking to better themselves, progress themselves. It is our duty to improve ourselves. Goals are they don't have to be what's your New Year's Eve, dry January, but I do like a person who's self-disciplined and has a very clear through line of how they want to be successful. I personally. Now, it also doesn't hurt that when we do set these goals, we start, bringing in some coins every now and then. Some of the goals can lead to monetize it.
That's true.
You need somebody in a dynamic to be urgent about hitting the family goals.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. I do have a question though. Amber has a friend named Lisa Beasley. She's very funny, but she has this character called Corporate Aaron. Do you watch Corporate Aaron? You're like, oh, that's fucking hot. Does Corporate Aaron turn you on a little bit? She's like, and well, the goals, I know it's Christmas Eve, but we need to make sure by the end of quarter 4. Y'all got to watch this character. So should I dress up?
Everybody knows Corporate Aaron. Corporate Aaron is way more popular than us now. We're gonna connect with her when we get back to Chicago because I love Lisa.
Should I put on a Corporate Aaron outfit and do some kink play for you and be like, what are your goals, honey? And then tap you with a little a ruler or something, or a little laptop. I come in with a laptop.
So, sorry, I was trying not to cut you off, but then you kept going. So then I was like, I should cut him off. So here's the thing about the Corporate Aaron character. it's funny because if you think about it, corporate Erin doesn't actually do any tasks.
Yeah,
her task is telling other people to do tasks.
That's why it's funny.
That's why it's funny.
She is goal oriented, very business, like to the point.
Yes,
you know,
she is. But like ultimately, like those managers that we know, sometimes they don't really be working a lot.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It's the irony of your manager always telling you that you need to do this and that, and they're not doing anything except for just hosting the meeting where they tell you to do the thing. That's what's funny about that. Do you not feel motivated? I think it's great that we are together, right? Because you do need somebody who's like all about the goals and all about setting things, and you need the person that's reminding you, like, Amber, if you accomplish nothing today, you're worthy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need a healthy amount of both, because if I accomplish nothing today for many days, you know, our child needs food.
It's also a roller ball for you, because there are times where
it's a roller ball.
It's a snowball, a roller ball. You ever hear of roller ball? It's
not an analogy.
Roller ball is an old school movie where they like fight as they're sort of skiing around. It's almost like roller derby.
Okay.
But it's violent and people die. But
that's not what you meant to say.
That's not. But I'm going to run with the analogy. For you see yourself as like, if you sort of fail a little bit, then you'll get in bed and just sleep for a while, and then, which is, I never.
Like, you mean at night when most people sleep?
No. Like, you'll get in the bed in the middle of the day. You're like, I'm just so tired.
You must have bumped your head because you are the king of a midday sleep.
No, but I'm not. I don't do it because I'm depressed. I do it because I was up super early, or I needed a little bit of or up super late doing other things. I take a break. Depression sleep.
But how often? Now, be fucking for real. When's the last time I slept in the middle of the day because I was overwhelmed and depressed?
I think it's like once a month. It happens about once a month.
That's not even that bad. It's not that bad to say, like, you know what? I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm going to go take a 30-minute nap. And when I wake up, that check will be in my account.
No, it's like a 30-minute nap, and then it's 2 hours of binge watching TV. Then it's masturbating.
The question is, when's the last time I did that?
I think it was like 2 weeks ago or something.
2 weeks ago. You can't even remember.
Something didn't work.
That's how much I've been achieving stuff. You can't even remember.
Yeah, because it doesn't bother me in the same way that you. Anyway, we should move on.
I want to stay here, actually.
You were about to ask me something like the importance of having two people in a relationship, one more chill, one more like goal oriented. You were asking me about something about goals.
Yeah, I was trying to make the point that you can't have two like highly goal driven like type A people, and then you can't have two people that wake up every day and they're like, let's just do nothing, go back to sleep.
You do need ideally.
That's why we work.
Yeah, ideally, I think it is helpful.
Well, are we working? That's debatable. Go ahead.
I think for me, for the people who are more laid back, like those people don't do shit. And I've started to learn how to create more goals for myself and get things done. Like I did create a goal to get a master's degree. That's crazy. I never thought I would get a master's degree, have a master's degree. I've set other personal goals, and now I'm getting a little bit more serious with my writing life that we'll talk about later. But I've set some serious goals with that, and sort of with you helped me with that. So thank you. Thank you. Let's move on to the next
You're welcome. I'll bill you later. The next segment of our show is called #Influenced.
It's time for the hashtag influence.
This is the part of the show where we talk about what's viral in them internet streets. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm doing gangster shit. What's super viral this week is the Ultimate World Cruise. Can I talk to you about this for a second?
Yeah, please.
So I'm going to get all my facts straight. There is a 9-month Ultimate World Cruise where they're going to go to all 7 continents.
I'm sorry, I'm going to go throw up for a second.
Like
all the diseases.
Are you like seasick?
I'm seasick, diseases, nastiness. 9 freaking months.
Well, 9 months. Well, okay, let me say this.
That's baby time.
Yes, some people, we'll get to that in a second. Some people are on the boat for 28 days. The internet is starting to call them segmenters.
Oh
yes,
my God.
Yes, because they're there for a segment, right?
Yeah.
So there'll be Mark Sebastian is this like white gay guy who's super funny. He's been doing some really great videos on TikTok about this. We'll put his information in the episode notes, but he was a segmenter. Now he's about to get off the boat, whereas other creators, one black girl named Brandy Lake, she's there for the whole 9 months. So the starting price for this was around like $53,000. I saw some discourse on the internet, first and foremost, that was saying that was like pretty pricey. But when I really think about it, and I'm not trying to say like, but I'm all LA now, but when you think about like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all of your laundry,
it's
all
all
of your fun,
inclusive?
it's all inclusive.
Dang.
So like, think about the money we spend on 9
rent.
months of groceries, on 9 months of rent. $53,000
Yeah.
isn't it really that bad?
Well, for compared to like LA
Yeah, man,
rent
LA.
prices,
And you're also traveling and going to other countries. So
it's
your
also
travel,
for
it's
one
your food.
person. It's
Right.
a one person room.
That is very high,
So
but
you
I'm just
think of
saying.
it, yeah. It
But you
does
don't have to pay
sound-
for transportation because I guess the boat is taking you places.
I saw that people were like leaving their jobs, mortgaging their homes to go and
Right.
do this.
I mean, when we think about like a yearly salary, though, obviously 9 months is not a year. But when we think about like a livable yearly salary, I mean, I just didn't think it was like it's so crazy.
Well, you could still work if you
you
could work online, right? You can work online.
They
So
got
if you-
Wi-Fi, and obviously they can post things because all of the TikTokers are posting content.
Wow.
So let's talk about cruises for a second.
Yeah.
Before we get into like all of the fun things that are happening on this boat. How do you feel about cruises, Ben?
There's only one cruise I want to go on, and it's JoCo, which actually I need to sign up for it. It's like a nerd cruise. That's the only cruise I want to go on. And N.K. Jemisin went on it, but it's put on by this great artist who, by the way, the night after we did our show in New York, JoCo, the guy who started that cruise, he's a nerd comedian. He played the next day. He's a nerd musician, so I shared a stage with him. Anyway, that was sort of fun. But that's the only cruise I go on. It's like board games and video games and science fiction panels and fantasy panels and nerd panels and gaming panels. I would love that. So I would go on a cruise.
How many days would you
I think
love
it's
to
like
do something?
4 days.
4.
It's like four or 3 days. I don't like cruises because they're just like liquor, alcohol soaked places, and I just think of I don't know, you're restricted, and also when you pull into ports, you don't really see any of the culture. It's very touristy.
Yeah.
You can't go to an old abandoned mosque or an old, Wat or something, very ancient and experience that. There's no hiking. You're not getting nature in the same way. You're looking out.
Yeah.
I guess
but it's
fresh
pretty cool to like
air.
go to Antarctica.
I think the idea of going to all 7 continents is really, really cool. And I guess there's basketball courts and stuff, but I always see these like massive parties on TikTok of people like dancing and raving, and that's just not my vibe. Like sweaty bathing suits that probably have yeast infections because you're just wearing it every single day.
What's wrong with yeast infections?
They're not. They're just smell bad sometimes. What? Don't yeast infections smell bad? I guess they smell
I've
like.
had 2 yeast infections my whole life, and I don't remember them smelling bad.
I don't know if they smell bad. They just yeast sound. It smells like unfermented beer for me.
There's somebody out there listening to the show right now with yeast infection.
I'm
who
sorry.
Definitely is
I'm
feeling
sorry
the
that
feels.
you experienced that, but I can't. Or just even like I remember like just nasty like nasty wetness, wet crotch. Who wants wet crotch?
That's true. So here's the thing. So you like it appeals to you the whole travel aspect, but the physical staying on the boat in the confined space is not your jam.
God. Yeah,
right?
you were saying that a bunch of shit has already popped off or something. Can you
Yes.
talk about that? What is that?
I will. So there is this great TikTok creator because this is super viral, and the people are going live every single night talking about this. Right? Somebody on the ship is going live. It's like a ton of creators, and if they weren't creators before, they're gonna be creators now, and they'll probably have a whole podcast about this after.
I guess I would do it for the content.
Right.
That's smart.
It's a content cruise in some ways. But I will say that there is one creator on TikTok who is not on the ship named Whimsy Soul. Whimsy Soul is somebody who's like, hey, I've been on tons of cruises. I've traveled a lot. I've lived in dorms for many years. So this person has made a bingo card of all of the things that she anticipates will happen in the 9-month cruise. Some of the things on that bingo card are, like you said, STDs. Pregnancy is one thing, fist fights, a staff member falling in love with a passenger, a wedding. She puts all these fun things on there, and she's already slowly started filling out the bingo card with the fans. I know we have our first confirmed on-ship pregnancy.
Wow.
So there's been a lot of lore about like, did she know she was pregnant before? Did she get pregnant on the cruise? Like, what does this mean now?
How does that? I need to look up, but there's got to be some sort of weird Like, if you get pregnant in what kind of waters, do you get like a citizenship of those waters or something?
No, it's about where the baby is born.
Oh yeah. Well,
Like, you can't be like,
now.
well, I fucked somebody in Germany, but now that I'm back in the States and my
Inception.
baby is German. Like,
Well,
that's not how that works.
I guess. Well, yeah. No, but now because our idea of ensoulment now includes like life begins at inception for some of the states.
At conception?
Conception, yeah.
Not
Inception is a
Inception.
great Leonardo DiCaprio movie.
Not Life Begins at Leonardo DiCaprio. Well, here's the thing also. Okay, this is funny. So obviously the internet is kind of like not looking down on the segmenters,
Yeah,
but
I think you can do that.
So
That's
the
funny.
internet was like gagged when they found out that there was a pregnant cruise ship member, but apparently she's a segmenter. So they were like, she's a
Not a real-
segmenter. It doesn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't really count.
But and we have our first confirmed fist fight. Again, I will tag Whimsy Soul in the comments, but we have our first confirmed.
What did they fight over? Like, not
It was
enough
3 women
shrimp?
and it was at a bar. So yeah, maybe just like drunk. Like
See,
and
God.
there have been tons of videos also about like the conditions on the boat being different for some people versus some. So this is like I wouldn't say this is Firefest though. Like for the most part, like the cruise is delivering on the things that they said that they would deliver on, like the traveling and stuff like that.
So I did the guy from the Try Guys did a funny song about this. He's in this musical group, and he did one where they did all this planning, but they hadn't chosen the boat yet. So people were paying before the boat was chosen, but it looks like, they eventually were able to rent a boat because this is not apparently the organization that is doing this is not a cruise organization, it's sort of a separate entity.
Oh,
It's
I
not
thought it was with Royal Caribbean.
Is it with Royal Caribbean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe. I don't know.
Well, that's what
This could be like a different.
NBC News said.
Okay, so maybe they got a partnership with Royal Caribbean. I think the original organizers are a third party, and then they partnership based on this song that I heard from the Try Guys. One of the Keith from the Try Guys, who people say I look like him. But
Of course.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about it. I know you hate cruises. I think I could be a segmenter on this. Like
Just
if
for
I was
the
child free
experience, yeah.
and if I wasn't married, but if I'm like, let's say I'm moving and one lease ends at this time and the other one like starts a month later, I'm like, why wouldn't I just go on like a 1 month?
I guess there's a
cruise with
liberation
lots of countries. Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Like it's so almost like Las Vegas of the seas. You can just do whatever you want.
And you can still do content. You can still have fun. Like there's always cruise entertainment. There's tons of meals. There's tons of people to talk to. Like I would be like, I'm going to try to talk to every person on the boat. Speaking of which, this is the last thing I'm going to say about it. Obviously, even though this cruise is in the middle of, the setting sail all over the world, obviously Brandy Lake, who is one of the black passengers on board, has already been experiencing microaggressions and racism because like she's been vlogging that like tons of crew members and staff are constantly asking her like, oh, like, are you one of the staff members on the boat? Like, how did you afford this cruise and things like that? So that, I think, I'm going to be honest with you. I think if it was an all black cruise, I would do 28 days.
Okay.
But if I was surrounded by white people constantly being like, hey, can we get more towels back here? Like, oh, actually, you're a passenger. Our bad. I don't like 9 months of that.
Even if you were guaranteed like another 6 million followers,
no,
you just
it's
endure
not
it for
worth
6 months.
Because how black people navigate the real world, it's like, okay, there is a chance when I leave my home that I have to deal with some bullshit, some race-related bullshit. At the end of the day, I can at least go home and tune that shit out. But when you live on a cruise,
to your room and
you can go to your
tune
room,
it
but
in.
it's like this little box on the ship.
Depends
like,
how nice the room is, I guess, because there's tiers to the room, right?
Yeah, but I would still have to see them like when I wake up to do breakfast in the morning. Like I can't really.
You could get the breakfast ordered to you.
Yeah, but then a crew member might ask me like, "Wait, did I get to the right room?" So
Yeah.
as a black person, all I have at the end of the day is my home, and now you're in my home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't even have that.
Don't even have peace. I'm just kidding. I love you, and I love our home. You ready to move on to the next segment?
Yeah, next segment.
Let us know in the comments, especially on YouTube's because y'all been active in the YouTube comment section. Let us know if you would do this 9-month cruise and just wave like a magic wand and say like, if I didn't have kids, if I wasn't married, if I didn't have my dream job, if I didn't have all of these reasons why I couldn't, would you do the 9-month cruise? We would love to hear about it. The next segment of our show is called Imperfect Parent.
Imperfect parent.
So this week, Wilde went to another kid's house for a fun play date. We had a good time. It was cool.
Yeah.
But one thing that one of the parents said there that irked me a little bit, and this is something that this is not the only person who we've gotten this note from. Wilde is a very energetic child. She loves to play. We take her to she's enrolled in all the things, the gymnastics, the music class. She is a very energetic child. She's a creative child, and we want to continue fostering that. The note we get from parents all the time is like, she's got boy energy. Mm-hmm. And it is irking my soul.
Or I think one time, I love your mom, as we said, but she's like, you need to have a boy so you can play rough, because I was playing too rough with Wilde. Right. I was like, come on,
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
Yeah. Well, we talked about like rough and tumble before, but like just specifically her energy is boy energy. And
Well, this case was like, have a boy so you can do that.
Right.
Right. And that's assuming that boys are more okay with doing this kind of thing than girls are.
Sure.
Right. There's an assumption there. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so funny because I feel like people can get away with saying to my girl baby, like, she's got boy energy. But if I would go to your son and say he's got girl energy,
you're shy,
you would probably be all the way the fuck in your feelings.
Yeah.
But you know what I did? Instead of correcting her in the moment, I was like, let me go home and just look this up. Let me actually look up, do girl children and boy children, toddlers, have different energy levels based on their sex? Like, is it a testosterone thing or estrogen thing, whatever? I could not find a single article by a reputable source. I'm talking like there were Reddit threads about it, and what is it, like Quora or whatever?
Quora. Yeah.
But I was like, I could not find a single actual like thesis, a peer-reviewed scholarly article about it.
Well, because kids haven't gone through puberty, right? The release of those hormones haven't initiated anything yet.
So now I feel well within my right to gut punch her ass the next time I see her. But
she's
also,
so sweet, though. I think if we said something, she would have like cried. It's one of those moments where somebody says something stupid and you have enough of a relationship, but not so close of a relationship, where you say something, like, they would probably receive it, but the relationship is not close enough that they wouldn't feel like terrible.
Oh, this woman will be tossing and turning at night, and we would be sleeping very well. Yeah, and I know I can be heavy-handed with feedback too. Yeah. Even when I try my best to, it's the black thing too. But even when I try my best to be
I don't think it's an Amber thing. You're just a mean motherfucker.
No, I'm like, I want to challenge you on what you said. What is boy energy?
Oh, yeah. Well,
I would say something like that, and she would probably freeze like a deer in the headlights. That's an interesting thing to say out loud. And also, so the fuck, like, your kid's a wimp. That's why. But I ain't gonna say that, I'm just kidding. But you know what I did find, Ben?
Mama and Daddy didn't raise no bitch.
Fool is the
fool.
Mama didn't raise no fool is the type of. But what I did look up, I will say this, as I was continuing to try to look up like the different sex energy levels of toddlers, I did find that toddlers do have a lot of energy as a whole group.
This is nuts.
Yeah, like one doctor, these were, again, like reputable articles. One doctor talked about how children are like a different species. It says young children not only have fatigue-resistant muscles, but they also recover fast from high-intensity exercise in both trained and untrained adults.
Give me those baby muscles. Dang.
Literally. So
that's awesome.
The big conclusion of this was essentially that like toddlers have more energy than like highly trained endurance athletes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they probably scale it.
I just had a great idea for a science fiction story where you like graft baby muscles and then grow that kind of muscle and then implant it into your own body. That'd be so cool.
Well,
but it would require for you to like sacrifice the baby and like kill the baby. So there's like baby farms, like external wombs where you're harvesting the baby muscles.
Mm-hmm. I would read that.
Yeah, that sounds so fucked up. And then people are like, no, this is unethical. Like, you can't raise a child like that. And they're like the ultra pro-lifers. But they've like co-opted that term, because like it becomes like a really interesting, because is the baby actually alive? Because it's kept unconscious when it's in the external womb so that you can just harvest the parts. Well, there is a movie like that called The Island a little bit. And there's the assumption that the people that they're growing body parts for are just in a stasis, but they're actually alive, like moving around. and then they have to escape the island. So maybe like these babies are there. Could be like the island, but baby edition. Anyway, that's it. That's my short story idea.
You have a really fucked up mind, and I think it's a gift.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's a gift. I was talking to a friend of mine who came over yesterday to do some writing, and I was asking him, I was like, where do you even start with some of these ideas you have? They're so good. And he told me, he's like, sometimes I just sit in a room where people are talking, and I say to myself, what is the most fucked up thing that can happen right now? And he's like,
that's how I live my life.
And he's like, and that's where I start the writing. And I was like, I know a guy like that. I know a guy that does stuff like that. Whereas I think of like, okay, what are the 15 things that can happen in this room that could get weird? But he's like, no, what is the most fucked up, crazy thing that could happen?
Yeah.
And that is like, that's what's on page 1.
Cool.
So I think you should, when we run the episode back, you should write this down.
I will.
Because it's a good idea. But yeah, apparently they're like a different species. Oh, what's the big conclusion that you could take from this, right? Because we do want our show to be a little bit helpful. The big conclusion is that toddlers, I looked this up, toddlers should get 3 hours of physical activity a day.
Nope.
A day, so that this can be sustainable for them.
Turn
with
off
all
your
this
Miss
energy.
Rachel. Get your kid outside.
Even
Have
today,
them run around.
well, okay, I've been doing, obviously this isn't like intense physical activity, but I love giving Wilde a task to do. Like I found like a whole bunch of pennies, and I was like, I'm going to pour out all these pennies, and I want you to put them all in your piggy bank. But she needs like a task.
Yeah.
Because if she doesn't have a task, she'll open every cough drop in the house.
God, we are out of
She won't even eat them.
drops.
She'll just open them, throw them.
Yeah.
It's very
The
satisfying
tactile,
for her.
yeah.
It's to do something that it's like a task. So even if I like, maybe like if I have like a little box of dog food and I'm like, I need you to fill his bowl. Like
She
hand
loves
by hand.
feeding Gucci.
Yeah, just something that like will burn some time. And you cannot
3
tell them that what they're
freaking
doing
hours.
is not like curing cancer. Like she's so intentional when she's like, oh my God, you gave me the task.
I do that with the grocery store.
Yes.
Yeah, I give her things to put in the car. She loves it.
She
loves
it.
it.
You know what's fine? This is going to sound really messed up, but you came from my mom, so I got to come for yours. When we got married, I almost had to give your mama tasks like that because I had a lot of stuff covered, you know.
My mom is like a toddler.
And she's high intensity because your mother wants to be so helpful.
Oh, it's so annoying.
But she needs so much direction, so she'll just be like, Amber, like, I just want this day to be so great. Like, I'm so happy that you're marrying my son. Like, I just thought he would never find love. Like, please, what can I do? What can I do to make this day so special for you? And I was like, you know, we really do have everything that she's like, no, there has to be something. Like, I am here.
Here's some
I'm on the
pennies
front
in a
lines.
piggy bank. Can you put the pennies in the piggy bank?
I essentially piggied and penny banked her because you know what I said to her? I was like, I got something for you. Now, I was like, you got your pen and paper out because this is very important. Like, I can't give this task to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So I need you to hear me when I say this is an important task. The morning of the bachelorette party, I need you to pick up bagels for the girls. Can you do it? Can you step up and do that? I mean, and she was thrilled. But the way I set it up like that, she's like, anything, any specific bagels? I was like,
Take all the orders.
you know, it has to be Panera.
I remember
it
she
has to be Panera.
Yeah,
she was
she
like, I'm on it right now.
She came to me and was like, I don't know what kind of bagels to get. What kind of bagels should I get?
I told her Panera. She wasn't taking
No.
notes.
She's like, how many planes should I get? Everything. Like she was stressing about
That,
all the. And they
she
don't
was
have
stressing
eggs.
about that to you because
To
I
to
gave
me.
her such a. I weighted the task. I was like, this is next level because if you get
God.
like if you get Brittany a plane and she needed everything,
You're
my
fucked.
whole wedding is fucked. Like
so fucked.
so, and she delivered.
Yeah, the bagels. She delivered.
One
the
of them was
bagels.
probably stale, and I bet if I would have told her, she would have melted into
cried.
the floor, sunk into the floor.
All right, next subject.
Oh, are you bored?
No. I just.
Am I boring
time,
you?
Time. No,
We have infinite time.
no, we don't actually.
This is a simulation. You're right. We don't have infinite time. Okay. The next segment of our show is called the I do's and don'ts of relationships.
I do, I do. I do, I do. I do, I do. I do, I do.
We got 2 really fun voicemails today, so let's get right to them. You ready?
Yeah, let's listen.
Oh, before we get into the voicemails, this is your reminder. Y'all have been calling. Y'all have been calling the advice hotline. If you need advice from me and something unhinged to say from Ben, please call 1-833-FOTW 311. Our incredible producer Daniel is going to put that number right here so that you can call us with all of your problems. These can be friend problems, relationship problems, work problems, any sort of relationship, romantic and the like. Okay, this one is a friend one. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Amber and Ben. I'm calling in regards to somebody who went from a really good friend of mine to now just being a roommate. About a year ago now, we moved from Pennsylvania to Atlanta to pursue similar dreams in entertainment, and I feel like at one point we were each other's rock. We really were, like, our friendship had never been tighter knit. I felt like I could really depend on her and vice versa. But as time has gone on, we've really, like, drawn away from each other, almost outgrown each other. No idea why. So the other day I approached her about it, and she seemed very apathetic. She gave a reason for, like, her withdrawal. And though I think it was a valid reason because it was mostly spiritual, she just seemed very apathetic towards, the state of the friendship, although she said she wanted to remain friends. So at this point, I'm just very confused. I don't know if I would want to maintain a friendship with somebody who is, like, apathetic, doesn't really think about or care about the status of our friendship, or even wants to try to, take steps to improve it. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Have I lost a friend?
It's giving cult.
Yeah, I don't know what the spiritual reason was. It did make me think of that Bible verse where it says you can't serve two masters, God and man. You remember that Bible verse? And I hate when people put on spirituality for being like a shitty friend. It's like, oh, God's working in me. I'm like, no, you're just a piece of shit, and you need therapy. Less God, more therapy. Like, stop pretending that there's some spiritual reason that you've been emotionally unavailable. Like, get the fuck out of here. I hate that shit.
I will say this. I have a friend who I've been friends with for many years, and for the past 2 or 3 years, this friend has joined, like, a mega church in her local area. And ever since she has joined that mega church, she never comes on any of our girls' trips anymore. She she now works for the church as well. And I'm not going to call this church that she's in a cult. I don't think it's that, but I definitely think that she is being manipulated a little bit by this church, especially because, like, if I can keep it real right now, like, this church is a primarily, like, white church, and she is a black woman, and now obviously they have her, like, heading the diversity department at the church, and so she's always, like, doing a lot of setting up conferences and trying to get more black people in the church. So I see so clearly, and again, I've never been to the church. I'm just speaking, like, as somebody who she's always in on every trip, and then she cancels. She's like, this is such a busy season for the church. Like, I tried to ask them for time off, but they just said they really need me right now, or whatever. Like, man. I feel distance growing between this friend and myself and this friend, because I feel like the church is using her to recruit more black people. Like, I'm just gonna be honest about that. Like,
but if you're okay with being used in that kind of way because of your spirituality,
but there's a world where she doesn't know she's being used. Yeah, I mean, well, because this is my problem as someone who has worked for nonprofits, and specifically who has worked for the church. It's very, very difficult to create boundaries between yourself and your job if you work for a spiritual organization, because they invoke God, like the most powerful being, for the reason
for you to do things, and it's
Yeah.
really hard
We need
to
like
combat.
a corporate Aaron, like spiritual version, because they do that. They're like,
Oh yeah.
but I feel like the Lord said that He needs you this Sunday. And
But
you're like, well, I
but
gotta
also
go.
there are lots of great pastors and lots of great spiritual leaders who are very clearly understanding that manipulation occurs that way. And
Of course.
they write a lot about that.
Of course, and we're not talking about those people. Like
Yeah.
we're talking about how it just they'll slowly. I just feel like every single trip for the and we go on like quite a few trips. Like we went to Usher in October. She canceled for that. We're going to Napa end of the month. She just canceled on that. So it's just like,
Damn.
what's going on? We went to DC last March. She
I think
canceled
she
on
has
that.
a new community, right?
Right.
That's a new community that's taken the place, and this is a community she sees every single week,
Right.
And in her case now, every single day. And this is like part of a dream job,
Mm-hmm.
and I get that because I've sacrificed friends to pursue my dream job. You know, working for you, I moved away from all my friends to pursue my dream job, but you're like my most high. So
So you feel like you're currently being manipulated by your job.
I don't
your
know, but
spiritual
I'm
daughter.
allowing you to manipulate me. I've chosen for you to manipulate
You
me.
are about to go to Chicago for 5 days.
Yeah.
We went to Chicago this summer.
Hey,
Who
see me at the annoyance every
who are all
night.
these friends? Who is this gaggle of friends you just left in the dust?
So shout out to my girl Victoria. Shout out to my girl Ramona.
Yeah,
Shout out
you
to
got
my
friends.
man Hamang.
You got
Shout out
friends.
to. By the way, I'm hitting up all those homies, and we're gonna hang out like each night.
You should.
But yeah,
I do want to answer this person's question though. I do think it's weird because now y'all are roommates, so I think she's trying to save face because she's like, well, bitch, are you trying to move out?
Yeah.
Like, but I definitely, there is a world where y'all are growing apart, and that's okay. I definitely do not feel, even though we've all kind of, me and like my close group of line sisters, we've all kind of lived in different cities for a very long time, but like
She
one of my
has-
line sisters I called yesterday. So
Yeah,
this-
she said, "Did I lose a friend?" I don't think you've lost a friend. I think the
she's
friendship
asking,
has.
am I losing this friend?
I don't think
Like,
you're losing. I think the relationship is changing. Similar to your case, Amber, where you haven't lost this friend. Like we went back home and like she came to
She
our
did.
show. Like so
Yes.
so like I saw her, and every time I see her I'm like super pumped to see her. Like the relationship just changes
It's
because
changing.
people's priorities change. It sounds like this
yeah,
person's
but we're
priorities
definitely not as
changed.
close as we were
But
before.
I don't put it in terms of losing. Like you're not losing anything. You're either you're like moving, your relationship is changing or developing because 10, 15 years from now, you'll probably hit each other up,
Yeah.
right? You'll probably text here and there, but you're just not as close as before. And so that relationship aspect might be lost, but do not put it in terms of I've lost this person and you're
But
not
it feels
losing
like
a
grief
friend.
in a little bit
Yeah,
because she said that this girl used to be like her rock.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And then when
yeah.
she brought it up to her, like, hey, I don't feel like we are as close as we used to be, she said this friend was apathetic.
Yeah.
And explained that,
Well,
for spiritual
reasons,
reasons.
yeah.
So it's okay to feel hurt by that. Like,
Yeah,
I want to
yeah,
validate this person's feelings because for me, if I was her, I know you don't agree. If I was her, I would feel like I'm slowly losing a friend.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the
And
idea
it's easier
of
for me not to feel it.
losing-
Like if this friend that this was happening to was in LA with me and this was happening, like it would feel like a loss. It's not. It doesn't feel like as heavy of a loss now because we've been living apart for many years. But
Well,
I
when
definitely don't
people
feel like
say-
she's as close to the group anymore.
That is true, but when people say they lost, it's like, oh, I can't talk to this person ever again. You know?
Yeah, but it feels like she can't in the way that they used to.
Yeah, you can't in the way you used to, but you can still maintain some semblance of a relationship. Right?
I definitely just feel like if I'm living with you and you're not excited to hang out with me and excited to do things with me like you used to be, I would count it as a
yeah,
loss.
I think you need to. I think you need to find a new roommate or move out.
I would agree.
I would agree with that, just because I think it could be very hurtful for you because
Right.
the relationship has changed so much. But I don't think you should cut off all contact with this person.
I agree.
think maybe like a text here and there, or like a funny meme that you guys used to share, or a reference to a TV show that you really liked. Like, hey, I saw this, it made me think of you. How are you doing? But you gotta move out.
I would agree.
Because this person who's now just your roommate could be like, just be too painful to be around.
Yeah, or maybe there's something going on in the house too. Like,
I
but
don't
you asked her and she was apathetic, so she can't say like that. You like our Grace Jones fix?
Yeah.
It's funny how I got dressed and then Ben was like, "Oh, Grace Jones." Voicemail number 2, you ready?
Go for it.
You just want to be me. Like, you want to be in my skin.
Hi, Amber and Ben. I have a weird, maybe, question. It's sort of relationship and parenting related. I've been in an interracial relationship with my husband for a long time. We've been married for over a decade. And because we have children, we get lots of children's books, and we try to expose our children to lots of media that has Black characters and things in it, and talk a lot about race. And we try to, of course, we work very hard to try to be very open about race in our home. But one thing that sometimes has been bothering me lately is my husband loves to do lots of voices for our kids when he's reading books to them. And sometimes when we get a book that has Black characters in it, my husband, who is white, and I'm Black, he will put on a Black voice and Black affect when he's reading the Black characters in the book. And I'm not sure it bothers me. It feels a little minstrelsy to me. It feels weird. But I'm not sure, I guess, how to bring it up, because I don't want him to feel like I'm telling him you're being racist, I guess. But, like, at the same time, it does feel racist. So I guess I want to hear your opinion on it. I'd love, one of the reasons I follow y'all is because, you're biracial, you have biracial children and you're an interracial couple. And so I just really want to hear, like, another opinion on this kind of thing. Okay, so thank you. Bye.
My first question is, how good is the Blaccent? Right?
No.
And, like, what kind of Blaccent we're talking? We talk about, like,
Yeah, there's
Chicago
so many-
drill, like, sound of Chicago. Are we talking about, like, the Mississippi drawl Blaccent? Are we talking about, like, antebellum times? Are we talking about...
Is it giving slave, or is it giving, like, Brooklyn hood?
Yeah.
Is it
or
giving...
even, like, the proper, like, quote-unquote proper, like, 1960s, like, civil rights movement Blaccent,
the civil rights movement Blaccent. Now, I would love to hear what that sounds like, Jonathan Majors. What is the civil rights movement Blaccent?
I have a dream.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Some gravitas.
The gravitas and just...
A little preacher energy.
yeah, the James Baldwin. And now, like preacher.
Yeah. Or even when, like, white people used
preacher.
to be in the, how it's like, oh, hello? You're calling me from New York. You remember how, like, in the 50s and 60s,
Yeah.
like, how people would, I don't think that's very nice.
Yeah.
Then they put my leg and threw over there. Like that.
Yeah.
But the Black version of that.
Yeah, I don't know what it would sound like.
Me either.
I've never done a Blaccent, so I don't know what this woman is referring to.
You know what? I'm gonna be vulnerable for a second, and then I'm gonna cook your husband. Ben buys a lot of, not only, like, books with Black characters in it, obviously, but Ben also buys books with, like, Latino characters and stuff like that. At one point you were really heavy pushing the Spanish books, and I did have a tendency when I was reading, especially if it was just in Spanish, to put on. But I think Spanish people like that. Sound off. If you're Spanish, drag me. I wasn't trying to be like Mexican gangster.
You sounded like Frida from Frida Kahlo.
No, but I was trying to be like, if it said like trabajo, like I was trying to do the thing instead of like trabajo. Yeah. Like I was trying to make it sound,
because Spanish is a language, and the very structure of the language requires you to change parts of the sounds that you make. Like the vowel sounds are going to sound different in Spanish than they sound
and I would
in
be
English.
Like, Pedro makes a quesadilla. Like I was trying my best to do it, but
It's just
in
always
a way,
I remember
crazy.
hearing her a couple of times doing that and me just laughing. And then one time I tried it and I was like, this just sounds... I remember, I tried it. I was like Raoul the Third. Raoul the Third.
Great book.
I love his books. They're so freaking good. And I would like... it just did not sound right.
Because...
And we just looked at it.
It's a little different. Okay. I think... you have to tell him that the Blaccent makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you have to describe to him what Blaccent he's using and why. Because I think sometimes whenever I've heard a white person just like offhand try to read Blaccent style in a book, it was always slave. It was always like, master the color in purple. I'm just like, what is it? What you doing? Like, this is just a book about a kid eating a sandwich. Like, what was all that about? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Jameer said he was hungry for a sandwich. So I said, okay. Do you like sandwiches? I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, that's what it can't be. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to tell them, like, baby, it makes me uncomfortable when you read the characters in this minstrel slave way. I love you. I'm your wife of 10 years, and we got kids together. Just read it how you would read it. Like, you don't have to put on for the black characters. Like, you would take that advice on.
I
if
would.
you were doing this.
I would if I was doing it. I was like, oh yeah. I would be like, oh yeah, that is sort of weird. Or like you can make it a weird thing. I think, because being called racist for white people is like so hurtful.
That's the big bad. That's bad, capital B.
It hurts our little feelings so much. Don't do it to us. I think maybe if it says something along the line of like, hubby, that's weird. Come on.
Yeah, or just I feel like I would playfully say it to you. I was like, can we take this character out of shackles and, put him in Tim's?
Yeah.
This character right now is like, I would describe like this.
Less Uncle Tom and more Tupac, please.
Yeah. I would definitely, and then I would be like, you know what?
Let's
give him the old Jeffrey Wright energy. Like let's just make him a regular Sterling K. Brown. Like, let's go for that.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna be like, who do you think you sound like right now? That's probably what I would walk in and say.
Yeah, you would make it a joke.
I'm trying to think of a book that Wilde has that I would potentially catch you doing that, especially when the story doesn't call for it.
Yeah, I don't know what stories. I actually, for the most part, really, really stay away from like slave narrative stories for Wilde.
Remember that Magnolia Flower book?
Yeah,
that had a few
like
happy ending slave narrative in it.
Yes, it's just during Reconstruction.
Right.
So Reconstruction, specifically Reconstruction tale, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, I try to stay. There are some Jacqueline Woodson stories that we read to her, but I just channel like my Jacqueline Woodson voice, and just Amber and I went to a reading of hers for one of our first dates, and she just has like this emotion, like read with emotion. You don't have to,
wonder,
and wonder, and like it's like she's beautiful. She's just a beautiful reader. It's great to hear her read, but there's no like Blaccent, right? Because it is minstrelsy.
It is.
I think just be like, yo, this sounds like a minstrel show. And like it doesn't, and he's doing it to be creative and like doing it to be fun and cool. But I don't know, just call it how it is and be like, come on, husband. Like, you sound like a minstrel show.
Yeah. Come on, husband.
you don't have to make it like, I need to talk to you about something. Like,
yeah.
You don't just be like,
maybe just an offhand, hubby. Like, can we bring this character into the 21st century?
Yeah.
I think that would be
inject some humor.
Kind. Yeah, and if he's really fighting back, just hit him with it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's weird.
Especially if you're not reading a slave book.
Yeah.
Like, that's when it just feels so...
There's so many fucking slave books for kids.
So many slave books.
There's so many Holocaust books for kids too. I'm like, Jews are more than their Holocaust. Oh, and the dying
grandparent books.
I love
you
those.
cannot keep getting those for me.
Those are my favorite.
It's so funny because I used to do a little bit more voiceover work. I haven't, I'll say on my agent about sending me a voiceover. Actually, they texted me about one last night. Anyway, I used to do voiceover work more. And I remember I booked a voiceover thing, or maybe I was recording an audition for something. And this was like at the beginning of the pandemic, like beginning of the vaccine. And so you could just tell based on the reading, they were like, hey, we would like this to be read in like an urban tone. And it was like, I got my vaccine too, girl. Get yours. Like, I was like, oh. I see they're trying to get us to get vaccinated.
I think one of our friends got that voiceover too.
Yeah, she was like, girl, did I just hear you advertising vaccines on the radio? Like, It's like because at McDonald's, my burgers always like you know
you
like I
got
was
a
like
Boost
Urban
Mobile
Boys.
one. I was like,
Yeah.
every MLK Boulevard has a Boost Mobile on
Yeah.
it. It was just like
ML
very
Key.
MLK.
The last segment of our show is called Shelfie. Today, we're not so much talking about books that are on our shelves that we're currently reading. We're going to talk about books that will one day be on our shelves. Why? Because Ben and I have been doing a lot of writing. So, Ben, we talked a little bit about this at the top of the show. What are you writing? What inspired you to start writing? Hit me.
Yo, I am writing a science fiction story. I joined a science fiction class. I've always wanted to write science fiction stories, but I've never had like specific science fiction training. I've taken creative writing classes. So I signed up for an extension class. We meet every week. I've been having great workshops, reading other people's science fictional. Well, it's like a speculative fiction class. Speculative fiction, more literary. But the teacher who writes it, like she loves science fiction. Like she's studied with Ted Chiang and more like traditional science fiction writers. We read an Adam Troy Castro, where a lot of these writers you only read if you're really into the genre. And so she, Ploy, I can't pronounce her last name, but her name's Ploy, and she's published on Tor.com. But Professor Ploy is dope as hell. Like she's so fucking cool. And she knows a lot about science fiction specifically. So I'm getting this training. I'm so excited. Amber encouraged me because I was bitching and moaning like, I don't have enough time to write. She's like, sign up for a writing class,
Little bitch.
motherfucker. Yeah. Oh yeah. I was thinking about little bitch because Amber likes to call me bitch in the place room sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
She's
Just
"You're a
talk
little-
about your
be my
writing,
little
man.
Bitch, be my little bitch. I like that. I was like, oh yeah, that's like I'm not daddy or God forbid like master, like which are some things that people say to their
Get
So,
back to the writing.
yeah. So yeah, I've been writing. I've been working on a long like a novella and then a bunch of short stories, and I'm gonna start like hopefully get those published in some genre magazines. And yeah, it's been so cool. I've been so inspired. So and I just want to encourage everybody, like, if there's something you want to do, taking yoga or even a writing class, sign up for a class, sign up for a writing group. There's free ones out there. Like, stop thinking you can do this shit on your own. You can't. You need community. Like, you really do. And I'm going to get off my high horse, but yeah, like that's something that Amber's discovered as well. Like, you've been writing with people as well, right?
Yes, I have to schedule like writing dates with people or writing retreats or like I said, my friend Gabe came by. Gabe is going to be on the pod soon, everybody, and support Gabe's Seed and Spark. I'm going to put that in episode notes, but he's a writer out here.
Published like 4 books, right?
Published books, also writer for TV, also is making a film, also just had a short at Sundance. So accomplished, and I'm getting to the point where I'm like, hey, you, my very talented friend, can you please come to my house? I will buy lunch and hear my pitch for this pilot I'm writing. And I pitched to him yesterday. He was like, oh, this is a feature. And I was like, well, no, I'm too scared to like write something that big. He's like, no, you have the ideas. We're going to sharpen and fine tune. But he's like, you got a great idea here. And now you just got to like write. And I would have never felt that I had a good idea had I not just talked to somebody else about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's helpful
and people
for you
like
and
it. Like we hung out. Gabe said he was going to leave at one time. I came back because that's when the writing session was supposed to end. And we just hung out and talked.
Right.
As while I like took a nap. Like, people want to be in communion with each other. That is why people go to church every Sunday instead of streaming it. This is why we like to go to our book clubs when we could just sit home and read it on our own. Like it's so important to be in community with people.
And it's important to be in community with people.
And support live theater. So please buy tickets to our show. Okay, go. Sorry.
And it's important to, of course, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah,
it's important to do it with the person that you're not always with.
Yes.
Because we're at the point that's why I was like tired of you bitching about your writing, because I'm like, because you would write something and then you would have me read it. You're like, what do you think about it? I was like, I think it's great. And you're like, well, what else? And I'm like, Ben, I don't write speculative fiction. So like, this is good. Why don't you go get somebody else to read your writing and encourage you to do what's next? Because which is funny because I'm now writing a horror comedy sort of near distant future story myself, but like we can't keep you and I can't keep talking about it together because we're not going to help and push each other.
Yeah, we're sort of like I don't know what's the term, where it just goes back and forth like we're like a hamster wheel between the two of us.
No, we have
like
really great
you're the
ideas
hamster,
on some other
I'm
stuff.
the wheel, but sometimes you, the hamster, just got to get out, and me as the wheel have to be like rolled and used somewhere else.
That's an interesting analogy. I'm the hamster running over you, the wheel.
Yeah, and we just keep on rotating. You know, sometimes because the hamster wheel can be used for other things, and the hamster can go take a shit or drink some water, can do other things as well. So we have to, sometimes you just got to separate. I don't know. I'm a great writer.
You are.
I have better analogies than
I like
that
the hamster
in
the
my-
wheel. That's cute. It doesn't look good for you in that analogy, but I'm
I mean,
fabulous. I got my workout as the hamster.
And hamsters are cute as shit. And
They are cute as
you're
shit.
cute as shit. You're so
That's
cute.
a great place to wrap. With that being said, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Fly on the Wall podcast. If you are in Los Angeles, I better see your motherfucking ass at our live show on February 21st at the Lodge Room. Thank you so much. Please get a copy or pre-order your copy of The Sex You Want by Rena Martin. We will have her on our next episode. So we'll see y'all next week. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
You know they're from TikTok, cause those laughs keep you coming, cause they're wildin' all the time. Before Wild throws a tantrum, listen to our silly anthem, cause they're wildin' all the time. Don't swat while Amber squats and does a dance.